Mute, yeah. Oh. Sharing screen. حاطين انتوا اللينك مال اليوتيوب ولا لا؟ اوكي اوكي لا بس عشان ما تعطيها قاعد يعني ايه اوكي خلاص بس اوكي ثانك يو Okay. السلام عليكم ويعطيكم العافية. Thank you for joining me in this modeling with the Python. Okay, so we're going to be working with Python in this workshop. I'll try my best to go over everything, which is kind of impossible, because we're going to be talking about Python. We're going to be talking about data science. We're going to be talking about machine learning and the latest headband, prompt engineering. Okay, so we're going to go through all of those things. Okay, so a quote here: in the world of data, every bit tells a story. Okay, so data is very important, tells you a story. And that's what a data scientist does, right? They tell stories. But the data scientist is the archaeologist, unearthing stories buried in the sands of information. This quote is mine. But after 11 prompts with ChatGPT, then I can put this one. With the little tweaks from me, but not completely ChatGPT. Okay. So about myself, my name is Ahmed Al-Baqsami. I'm an assistant professor in the Public Authority for Applied Education. I'm also a senior AI engineer at Phase Row. It's a data science company based in Oman, Muscat. And I have a PhD in computer engineering from University of California, Irvine. Okay. All right. So again, with the agenda, what we're going to be covering today is we're going to be talking about Python. And I'm going to be teaching you Python in a different way. We're going to be, both of us, designing an algorithm. Yeah, we're going to go step by step, and you guys are going to help me. I'm not going to be doing it all myself, okay? Another thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing you to what is data science and what is the data science lifecycle. We're going to be talking about NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. These are very important libraries that any data scientist should know. Then we're going to be talking about machine learning, okay, and the types of machine learning. And of course, we're going to be using scikit-learn to do our machine learning. Finally, we're going to be doing a whole, like, covering everything with exploratory data analysis. And of course, we're going to be using machine learning examples as well. Okay. So who came to the last datathon last year? Okay, I've got a few veterans here, 3. Everyone else? Okay. All right. So again, why or where is Python used? So it's going to be used, of course, in artificial intelligence, data science, but not only that, we're going to be using it, or not us, but the Python is being used in web development, automation testing, game development, the works, everything, everywhere, okay? And let me give you a quick introduction on the history of Python, invented in 1989 by Guido. It's a multi-paradigm programming language. So it's not only procedural or structural, it's also object-oriented, it's also functional, okay? It's dynamically typed. And one of the most important things about Python is batteries are included. Yeah, you can do a lot of things compared to other programming languages because the batteries are included. There's a lot of packages we can use without even having to install these packages. They're all there. All right, so why Python? So one of the things is Python is very popular. There's a huge community supporting Python. Okay, and we can see from the graph. This is a very latest graph I took just this month, or today actually, and it's showing that Python is already surpassing C in popularity. I did the same exercise about a year ago. Same thing. Python is ahead of everyone else. Why is that? So this is my favorite slide, believe it or not. So in C, you have to do all this boilerplate code that you have to use before you do anything. So here we're going to do a simple thing. We're going to be printing a hello statement. Okay, so hello world, right? Anytime you want to learn a programming language, they start with hello world. So in C, you have to do the includes. Who knows C, by the way? Nice. Okay. So where did you learn it from? College, huh? University. Okay. So this is what they start you off with, right? The hello world. So you do with the printf statement, hello world, and then you have to return a 0. Who can tell me why do you want to return a 0? What's the deal with that? You guys forgot? Or return a 0. Why do you return a 0?
To exit form.
Okay, so because and we encapsulate everything inside or package everything inside a function called main, right? So you have to do all of that stuff before you can even print anything, right? And then C#. Who does C#? Who does Unity stuff? Huh? Yeah. Oh, game programmer? No, even called C#. Okay. Yeah. So C#. They copied. Who did they copy? Java. Exactly. So they have almost the same template, the same structure. Okay. So first you have to have the namespace. So that is the same as when in Java you have to have the class. So you have to define a class before you can do anything, right? And then inside the class you also have to define a method, right? Or a method basically is a function that is inside the class. Of course, you don't have to know all of this stuff. Okay, but just for people who have the background. And then finally, we can do the print. And then the print even is really long, right? It has to come from a certain library, and then from a certain namespace, and then so system.console.writeLine, or from Java, system.out.println. Okay? Of course, you can cut that short if you import system. All right, and then JavaScript is nice, okay, but not nicer. Still, there's more niceness, right? So it's console.log, okay? And then finally, Just print. خلاص. Just print. So this is what makes it. Oh yeah, I mean sometimes. Yeah, the syntax is يعني يا تروح هنا يا تروح هناك. Exactly. Okay. But my problem is not with the semicolon. My problem is the console.log, right? And I don't have a problem with JavaScript. I have more of a problem with the other languages. All right, so starting off. So where do we get Python? We can get it officially from python.org. And currently, oh, this is wrong. I have the wrong. Hold on a second. This is 3.11. I should have updated this slide. Sorry. So the latest version is 3.11 from the Python official website. Okay. The Anaconda, which is the one I'm going to be using right now, has the version 3.10. Okay. The nice thing about Anaconda is everything included. So it doesn't only have the batteries, it has even more batteries. Okay. So batteries included plus. There's Jupyter Notebook, there's a Spider integrated development environment, and there's many data science packages. So that's the nice thing about it. Okay. All right. And then lately also people have, not lately, let's say it's been a few years now, but now it's even more and more so. There is Colab from Google. Okay. So it works the same as a Jupyter Notebook, but everything's done online. I don't recommend this, given the internet is kind of not that strong. Yeah. So it's better if you use Anaconda. So who has downloaded Anaconda already? Okay, good. So you guys are seeing the channel already. Good. Okay. Yes, you can use Python. I mean, Python is the IDE. You can use anything you want. That's fine. Okay. So let's talk about programming in general. Okay. So who's new to Python? Okay, just one. Oh, okay, a few of you. Okay, good. All right. So generally in programming, what do we have? So the whole thing is that we have data. Okay, data that is input, and then we have data that is output. And then in between, we want to do something, right? So we want to manipulate this data, okay, to get the desired output that we want. So that data manipulation, that's what we call an algorithm, okay? And with data, we first have to know how we are going to be representing this data. So we need some sort of container for this data. So we need a data structure for this data, okay? So the first exercise I'm going to go through with you guys is bubble sort. Who's heard of bubble sort? Okay, it's the fastest sorting algorithm, right? No, it's okay. So it's the worst, but it's good for teaching. Okay, it's good for teaching. So you can find selection sort. Yeah, of course. Yeah, quick sort, selection sort. What's the big O of those? What's the big O? The complexity. Yeah, what's the complexity? Do you guys know? Anybody knows the complexity? Huh? For what? Bubble sort, yes. So it's O(n) squared. And for the quick sort, it's going to be. Yeah, but what's the complexity of it? Yeah. It's better. It's n log n. Yes. Okay. But we're going to be teaching you about the n squared. Should know n squared? It's okay. You don't have to know. We'll do it right now. Okay. I'm going to open up my favorite IDE. Okay. So let's do this. So let's go to Spider. All right. First thing said, we have our input is a bunch of numbers. Let's use numbers. Numbers is the easiest thing, right? So let's use the numbers. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a variable. Okay, who knows what a variable is? Okay, everyone knows what a variable is. Here in Python, we call it a symbol also. Okay, so X is going to be assigned, or we're going to assign something to X. So in reality, what's happening is this. If I do this, X equals 5, what is stored inside 5? Oh, sorry, what's stored inside X? 5, right? Okay, so basically, this is what's happening. 5 is being stored inside X. All right. Now, a lot of people will tell you, don't name your variables X, Y, and Z. Then, but I'm going to use this now. Okay, I'm going to use X. It's easier. It's faster for me. Okay. Or we can say this. Let's say my list is equal to 5. Okay. But I'm not going to be using a single variable. I'm not going to be using a single element. I'm going to be using a collection of elements. So we're going to be using something called a list in Python. Okay. So let's put some numbers. Let's do 5, 7, 2, 18, 45, 20. Okay. Is this list sorted? Okay. It's not sorted exactly. So what do we want to do? We want to sort it. Sorry. Okay. So we have to come up with an algorithm that does that for us. Okay. So let's go through some things here. Okay. So let me run it. So I'm going to run it here, and I'll tell you why I like Spider. Who's used Spider before? Spider. Never heard of it? Okay. Welcome to the world of Spider. Much better than Jupyter Notebook. Much better than anything else out there. Even PyCharm. No, I'm kidding. PyCharm is also good. Okay. I use VS Code. I don't use PyCharm. But all right. So if I do this, I need you guys help me. If I do this, if I say my list, okay, and I want your intuition to guide you in this one, okay? So if I say my list 0, what's the output? 5. Okay, good. And if I do my list 4, some say 18, some say 45. Which one is it? 45, okay? 45. So what does that mean? Python uses 0 indexing. So we start the numbers from 0, okay? There are some languages that don't use 0-based indexing. For example, Visual Basic, okay, if you're using .NET. What else? MATLAB, who's heard of MATLAB? MATLAB also uses 1, it starts off with 1. Here we start off with 0. It's inherited from the C programming language. They use the 0-based indexing. Okay, good. And then if I do this, my list -1. What is that going to give me? 20 and nothing.
It's going to be 45.
45?
Yes.
20.
20. Okay. So the nice thing about Python list is that it does both types of indexing. It does it from left to right, starting with 0, and then does it right to left, exactly. And it starts off with -1. So if I do this, -4, for example, it's going to give me 2. Okay. Now, if I do this, what's going to happen? No, not nothing. Something's going to happen. It's out of range, right? The list is out of range. So 8 is not allowed because the size of the list, and how can I get the size of the list? We have some keyword functions in Python that give us some, let's say, properties or something about the variables here. So if I do my list and then I give it len, it will tell me that the size of it is 6. Okay. All right. Good. So now, go on to a point.
So whenever you start from -1,
Yeah.
it always starts from right to left.
Yes.
But
So
if you start from 0, it's going to start from
exactly.
left.
So positive numbers, including 0, is going to be from left to right. Negative numbers, we're going to start from right to left. Exactly. Okay. So this is another pitfall some people fall into. Like you suddenly get a minus when you're doing some sort of algorithm that gives you a negative integer, and then finally say, okay, what's going on? The program is giving me something wacky, right? And then it turns out that the logic is wrong, but in any other language, it would have caught it because it would give you an error. There is no such thing as a negative index in any other language. Python, on the other hand, no. It's okay with having negative line, okay. And then if I do this, what's going to happen? We're going to be changing the value. Exactly. So now if I do this, right, it's going to start off with 40. So now my list, or list in general, the data type list. And if I want to know the type of a symbol here or a variable, I do this. So it's type list. So I know what the type is. Okay. And with lists, they are mutable. Mutable means what? Means I can change them. It's okay to change them. There is another type. Let's talk about my T. Okay. And let's see the length of my T. Okay. Now, those who know Python, what is this type? No.
It's a tuple.
It's a tuple, exactly. It's a tuple. So it's a tuple. Okay. Now, if I do this, 0, what's it going to give me?
Then give me the value, the first value.
It's going to give me the first value, which is a 1. Exactly. Okay. And if I do this, what's going to happen?
It's
Error.
not mutable.
Exactly. It's going to be an error. Why? Because tuples are immutable. Okay, they're immutable. You are not allowed to change anything inside the tuple. So if you want something that is set, you use a tuple. If you want to be able to change something, then you could use a list. Okay. All right. So go back to our algorithm, what we want to do. All right. So bubble sort. How does bubble sort work? Let's look at bubble sort. So here. Okay. So I have a list of numbers. Okay, forgive my handwriting. Okay, so it's going to be 5, 7, 1, 20, 3, and 6. Okay, unsorted. How does bubble sort work? So what bubble sort does, oh, of course, and then we have to put the indexing, right? So we have 0 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's a question. Go ahead.
No, it wasn't a question. I was going to ask you. You're going to try to look for the smallest number and place it at first, and then you're going to use the same number and place it in the variable, and you're going to find the number that's greater than this number and place it in the second variable.
No, not quite. But yeah, you're close. Okay, you're close to the concept. So the concept of bubble sort, as the name suggests, bubble, right? So what does a bubble do? Rises. Okay. So here what we're trying to do is we're trying to rise the largest number to the top. Okay. What is the top in this case? 20, no, 20, yeah, the value. Where should it be placed then?
In the
5. That's the whole point. We want to raise 20 all the way up to 5. Okay. And then we want to raise other numbers. What's the next number that we want to rise?
7.
And where do you want to put 7?
And 4, index 4.
Exactly. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. Okay. So the way bubble sort works is this. We're going to be comparing the contents of the address 0 with the contents of address 1. So now 5 and 7. We compare them to each other. Do we have to swap them? Swap.
No.
No, we don't have to swap, right? Because 5 is already smaller than 7, so I don't have to do anything. So now we're back to 5, 7, 1, 20, 3, and 6. Okay. Now I call this step 0. Call this step 0, and then I call this step 1. Step 1. So far, so good? Okay. Now, because I'm lazy, I'm gonna erase this and just say step 2. Because we're going to continue. Now I'm going to compare 1 with 2. Now, here's the question. What's going to happen now? We're going to swap them, right? Because 7 is larger than 1. So what are we going to do with 1 then? Move it back here. Okay, exactly. So now we're going to move these 2. I'm going to have 1 here and 7 here. Okay? And so on and so forth. So then I'm going to be comparing 2 with 3. And then I'm going to be comparing 3 with 4, and then I'm going to be comparing 4 with 5. Let's do a quick bubble sort here. So 7 with 20, nothing happens. Then 20 with 3, we swap them. Okay. And then 20 with 6, we swap it again. And look there, huh? the largest number rise to the top. Okay. Am I done? No. So that
No.
means what? This whole process, we're going to call it a round. Okay. So we're going to need another round. So how many rounds do you think we need to finish this?
N rounds.
Sorry? No, number of rounds, not number of steps. How many rounds do we need?
We need N rounds.
We need 5 rounds, right? 5 rounds. Each round, we're going to be doing how many comparisons? We're going to be doing 5 comparisons, right? Just
Five.
now we did 5 comparisons. And then for each round, we're going to be doing, we're going to have 5 rounds. Each round, we're going to have 5 comparisons, okay? Now, of course, we can improve this one, and that's going to be your assignment. But let's first do the basics. Let's first get this bubble sort running. So let's go back here. So tell me, what am I supposed to do here? I'm going to say, I'm going to compare, right? So I'm going to do an if statement, okay? Has anyone never seen an if statement before? Everyone has seen? Don't be shy. No? Okay. So if, as the name suggests, if something, then do it. Okay. Else, if there's an else, there's not necessarily always an else. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say if my list, okay, the 0 index, okay, is larger than my list in the 1 index, okay, then what am I going to do here? Swap. How do you swap? Let's put a temp variable. Yeah. Temp variable. What am I going to assign the temp variable?
The largest one in the temp.
Okay. So we're going
And
to put
then
the largest one in the temp.
Yeah. Then we will assign it to the second element.
So the largest one, you mean the largest element, right? Not the largest index. So the largest
No,
element.
not index. No,
Okay.
value.
Largest value. Okay. So
Yes.
the largest value, but so in this case, 0 is going to be the largest value because the if statement worked. And then what am I going to do here?
Then my list of 1.
1,
Yes.
like this?
Equal.
Huh? Or temp. Should I put temp here? Okay. Temp. And then what? Temp equals my list 0. Okay, because I want this to work, I'm going to put 7 here. Then you want to see this in action. Okay. And then I want to print out, I want to see that this operation happened. The 7 swapped with 5. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say print, because Python is nice, you just have to say print. So, and then I say my list. Okay. All right, let's try this. And let's print it before. Okay, so let's do this again here. My list. Okay. This one. Oh, no. What happened here? I lost my 5.
Yeah.
Something happened to it.
The swapping is not correct.
The swapping is incorrect?
No, you have to put about my.
No.
My list one.
Okay, who can help me fix this? We'll talk about that one later. Talk about it later. Let's do the hard part first, then we'll do the easy one. I know what you're talking about. We'll do it later. So what am I supposed to do here then?
List 1 equal my list 0.
Okay. So yes, tell me.
Temp equal minus 1. And then,
Temp equals my list 1. Okay.
and then go to the minus 1.
Okay. Okay.
And then temp for minus 1.
Okay. Why are you assigning temp to my list? We don't need temp is temp, right? It's temporary. We don't care about it. So what are we doing here? My list. Okay. All right. This is what it's supposed to do. Okay, let's try this out now. Oh, no.
It's not right.
Then minus 1 equal to minus 0.
Minus 1.
Minus 1, my list. Okay, let's draw this out. Should I come? Okay, let's draw this out so we know what we're doing. Where is it? Draw. Yeah, okay. So have a box here, right? This box is called temp. Okay. And then I have another box. Let's call this one 0. And
We
then I
have
have
to-
another box. We'll call this 1. Okay. So 0 has 7 in it. 1 has 5. And temp has nothing in the beginning.
Can I say something, please?
Yes.
We would assign my list of index 0 first before we transfer, before we assign my list of index 1. We have to make it previous step.
Okay. How about people write it in the code? Oh, in the chat. Okay, so I see someone here. Should
Okay.
add my list 0 to IS 1 before. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
And then minus 1, and then minus 1.
Okay, let's do this again. Okay, I'll clear out everything. I was going to show you something, but okay, let's do this. So temp minus 0.
Then minus 2.
Okay,
And then minus 1.
then my list 1
Equal.
is
Equal
equal to
temp.
what? Temp.
Yes.
I think you got it. Let's see.
Yes, this is the one.
لازم أجرب. When I'm debugging, I have to put print statements all over the place. This is what I'm going to do now. I'm putting 2 print statements. I want to see what's. Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. Now, someone just mentioned there is an easier way of doing this. Now, in other programming languages, most likely, I don't know all of them, you can't do this. Yeah, you still have to use a temp. Here, on the other hand, we can do this. So imagine I have an A. So I have a variable called A. And then I have another variable called B. And then I do this. I say 10, comma, Ahmed, for example. So what is A going to store? And what is B going to store? So how about we do this here? We do it here. What are we supposed to do then? How can we transfer this knowledge to swapping?
Minus 0,
Okay, my list 0,
minus 1
comma, my list 1.
equals to minus 1, minus 0.
Right? That's it. So it's as if it's happening simultaneously. The stuff that's on the right is the old information, and then the stuff on the left is the new information. So that's why there is no conflict. Okay, it happens all. You can imagine it if you use the mental model of it happening all simultaneously. So now we can do this, and we're good to go. Okay, now I have to repeat this process. Okay, so then I can just copy paste, right? And then we said we're going to be comparing 1 with 2, right? And then I'm going to do this here again. So I'm going to be doing 1, 2, and then here we're going to have 2, and then 1, right? Okay, and then I'm going to do it again because I have, how many comparisons am I going to be making?
5.
5, exactly. So we're going to do 2 and 3. Then here we're going to have 2, 3, then 3 and 2. Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah, I didn't do this list to be like 500 or something. It's just 5. And it's easy to copy paste this, huh? Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to send this source code after?
I will send you this. I'll put it in the Discord channel. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So
We have
you
to
can see
do
there
it
is a
step
pattern
by
here.
step.
Sorry?
We must do it step by step, or we can just insert a for loop.
You can start the for loop,
Okay.
but we'll do that later. Okay.
Okay.
So we can see here, we notice a pattern here, right? So they're all the same. So we can do this. We can say, you know what? I'm going to add a variable. Okay. And I'm going to call this variable 0. Okay, so instead of 0, what am I going to put here?
I
Exactly. What about the 1?
I plus 1.
Plus 1. And then I can do the same thing here. I put I, and then I put I plus 1. And then I do the same thing here. I do I plus 1.
I plus 1.
And then I
And
do I. Let me reduce the size here. And put I here. Okay, good. So how about this? Let's just copy paste this stuff. Okay. Now it's easier on me here. And I'll do 2 more because we said we have to. Okay. And then what am I going to put here then?
We have to increase the index.
Yes,
So check.
increase the I value. So I is going to be 1 here. And then here it's going to be I equals to 2.
2.
Okay. And then here we're going to have I equals to 3. Okay. There is an easier way of, obviously, we can say, okay, how about this? We can say I, the old I, plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not even plus 2. It's always going to be plus 1. Right?
Yeah.
Always going to be plus 1. Okay. And then let me try something here. Let me put the 45 here. I want to see, does it rise all the way to the top? And then I'll put a 7 here. Okay. The hope after writing this code is we have 45 in the last place. Okay. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. All right. So let me, by the way, this is a nice thing. Another nice thing about Spider. You can also have a variable explorer and you can see all the variables that you have. So for example, here I have my list. You can see it here. And after running it, we can see that 45 is in the last place. Okay. Now, what do I have to do? I have to repeat this whole process. How many times we said?
5 times.
5 times. So I have to copy paste this whole thing 5 times. That's so much. Okay. But first, this is one thing in programming you have to always pay attention to. Reusability of code, right? So here, the code is just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. I can make this even more compact, right? So now we're going to be talking about a structure, or not a structure, sorry, a control structure called a for loop. Okay. So what does a for loop do? It iterates, exactly. What other structure does the same thing? While does the same thing, yeah. But the difference between the for and the while in this case is in the for loop. Well, let's go. Let's make an example here real quick for a for loop. So let's say I have this X and I have a bunch of stuff. Okay. Now notice here on a list, okay, people who program in C and C++ and Java. What's going to happen here if I do this? Error, right?
Yeah.
Here in Python, there is no error. In lists, you can have multiple types as elements. Okay, so every element can have its own type. Doesn't matter. So here I have a string. Here I have an integer. Here I have another integer. It doesn't matter. I can even have more objects. I can have any type of object here. Yeah. So Boolean, for example.
And this one, not arrays.
Sorry.
And this it's possible. In arrays.
In arrays, you cannot. No. In arrays. But the arrays we didn't talk about yet. Where are we going to find the arrays? Who knows? Huh? NumPy. Okay. But now we're just talking about Python. Okay. So now I have this list. Okay. I can even make it into a tuple. Okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. And then I do this. I say, okay, for some variable, let's say v, in x, and I'm going to do print v. So what is going to happen here?
It will print all the values for this stuff.
Print all the elements. So if I run it now, it's going to be printing this one, and then this one, and then this one, and this one, and this one. Okay. Why was it able to do that? Because X is called an iterable. Okay. Lists in general, tuples in general, okay, and also dictionaries we're going to talk about, and sets. They're all iterable data types. You can iterate through them. Let's say I do this. What's going to happen here? It repeated 55 times, right? Anybody else have a different answer? Huh? 55 is not a number to declare. It's just a 55. Okay. So it's gonna run 55 times. Everyone agrees?
It's gonna give an error, I think.
Huh?
It's gonna give an error because you have to put the range in front of the
I can't hear
55.
you, sorry. Okay. So we're gonna have an error because here you're saying I'm gonna go through every element of 55, but 55 is not an iterable data type. It's an integer. Okay, 55 is an integer, so I cannot iterate through it. How about this? Oh, 55 is now a string. Can I iterate through this? Everyone in agreement? We cannot iterate through strings? We can. Because every character in a string, you can iterate through. Okay. So in this case, I can go 5, 5, it's iterable. Okay. Now, if I do this, then let's go back to strings again. So let's say my string is equal to hello world. Okay. And I do this. My string 0. What's going to happen?
H, letter H.
It's going to give me an H, exactly. What if I do this? So what's it going to print out for me?
Yellow words.
Yellow world.
Mhm.
No. Why? Because string is immutable. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to know your data types and what they do, what you can do and cannot do with them. So strings, they're iterable, just like tuples. Okay. But they're immutable. Like which other data structure is immutable also? We just talked about it. Which one is it? Tuples, exactly. Lists, they're immutable. That's why in this problem here, we're using a list. We're not going to be using a tuple. Okay, good. So for loops, they go through each element one by one. Okay. Now, there's another function in Python. It's called range. Okay. And be familiar with range. Range is very important. And a lot of other data structures inherited the API call, or let's say the way range works. Like, for example, in NumPy, it works the same way, kind of. We'll see. Okay, so for example, if I said range and then I put 4, who can tell me what's going to be printed out? 0, 1, 2. What about 4? No. Right.
No, it will excluded.
It won't, right? Because I can replace this. I mean, not directly, of course, but sort of. I can do this. I can say, oh, sorry. I can say this 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going to be doing the same thing. Of course, with range, if I print out range by itself, if I do this, I say range 4. Okay, it's not going to print out for me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do this. I can say, look, convert range, okay, into a list. Then it's going to be magically converted to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Range is a generator. Okay, so a generator object, and if you run through it, it generates every program. Every element. Generators and functions are different because with generators you're going to be yielding values. So the good thing about them is they don't take up memory, while functions, or let's say in this case lists, for example, they're going to take up space in memory. But anyways, let's go back to range. So you can think of a range as a list. Let's say it that way. Okay, now what if I do this? What's going to happen here? 4 to 9. So remember this: the last value is not included; it's always excluded. Okay. So here I'm going to be printing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, and then finally, let's do this. What's going to happen here?
It will increase each one with 2 plus 2 number 2.
Without the 10.
So it's 4, 6.
4, 6, 8, exactly.
8.
4, 6, 8. Okay. So it increments by 2. Okay. What if I wanted to decrement? Let's say I wanted to go from 10 to 0.
Minus.
Okay. So it doesn't work, right? I have to put minus. Okay. So how many arguments does range take? No.
3.
Not 3. No, not unlimited. I was looking for a different answer. You're partially right, but not completely right. So how many variables or how many arguments does the range function take? It takes, does it take?
Yeah, it depends on your need. Like, for example, if you're going to increment or not, but the basic one, it will take only one argument.
So it will take one argument. Now that's correct. It will take 3 arguments. That's also correct.
Yes.
And it will take 2 arguments. That's also
Yeah.
correct. So there is different number of arguments it's going to take. Okay. So it can take 1, 2, or 3. So how come it can do that? So if I put 10, what's happening here? Am I starting in 10? I'm ending in 10.
No, it will
right?
take from 0 to 9.
What's the step size? Remember the step size? It's going to be 1. So what happens is with the range function, and you can also make your own functions like work the same way, is you can have default values. Okay. So in this case, we have a default value for the start, and we have a default value for the step size. Okay. If I added two variables, or two values, so let's say here 20, now the start is the first one. Okay. And then we call these positional arguments, right? Because the position matters. Okay. You cannot just say, I want 10 to end it. No. The position, the first one is the start, the second one is the final. And then of course the last one is going to be the step size. All right, good. So now we have a premiere on range. So let's go back to our bubble sort. Let's do this one. Okay. So for I, okay, because I'm incrementing I. So how about this? I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to get rid of this one. Actually, I'm going to get rid of all of this. Okay, because they're all the same. And I want this thing inside my for loop. Right? Okay, so for I in what? Huh? My list. Okay. My list. For I and J. Okay. So what's the what is I going to contain? Yeah, I know but
Index.
each increment, what's going to be stored in I?
Index.
The value of each.
Okay, let's rephrase the question. What is the first iteration of the for loop? What's going to be what's the I value of the first iteration of the for loop? So how many? 0?
45.
Say 0? Are you sure? Okay. All right, I'm gonna print I here. Okay, so we can see it, all of us. Okay, we'll see. Oh no, error. Okay, so probably I should just comment this out and see what's going on. Okay, no, it's giving me 45,
We have
5.
to put an initial
2.
value for I.
So what am I supposed to correct then? There's something wrong here.
We need to use the range function instead.
Sorry, Abdullah, what did you say?
We need to use the range function to get the index.
I'm going to use the range function. Exactly. I'm going to use the range function. That's why I introduced the range function. Don't introduce stuff just for fun. They have to be useful. So range, what am I going to do with range? Is this what I'm going to be doing with range? Huh? No, online Abdullah said we are going to be using range. Because we can't just say for I in the list itself. We have to say for I in the range. Okay, so what am I supposed to do here? Length, exactly. So I'm going to do length of my list from. Okay, so this one's going to be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then what? Then 5, right? Okay, because the length of this one is 6. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, right? If I do this, length of my list. Okay, list here. It's going to be 6. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. Is this going to work? Okay.
Yes.
No.
No, it's going to give us an error.
No.
What am I supposed to do now? So what happened? What happened with the I? Let's comment this out again. Okay. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So
We have
So-
to assign the index in my list of
we are-
something.
we
Of
are,
bracket.
right? We're giving I an index every time. We're giving it 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5.
When it
Right.
reaches the final index,
I'm
it's
to
like,
use another for loop.
My list -1.
No, I'm not going to use
Why
another for loop. This for loop, I want to do the stuff that is part of the line 12 and 13.
Shall
Okay,
we
so
put
what I'm
doing
the
is-
list of I?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I need 5? What happens if I put 5?
Outside the.
Where? Because of what?
Because it will be
Because of the
6.
I plus 1. Exactly. So what am I supposed to do here then? -1. Okay? Exactly. All right. Now let's print out my list. Okay. So I'm going to print out my list here. After I'm done with the for loop. So I'm going to print my list. Okay. And there we go. Look, 45 is up there. All right. But are we done?
No.
So what do we have to do then? We have to do this again. So let's do this again. Let's do this again. And we do it again. And we do it again. Yeah. Nested for loop. Okay, but let's do this first. Let's make sure that it works. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think 5 is enough. Okay, should be sorting everything out for me. Okay, and then let's do the final print. 2, 5, 7, 18, 20, 45. Sorted. Okay, but again, if I have, let's add another number here. Let's add 16. Let's add 100. Let's add 70. 56. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, some of them are not sorted. Okay, because I have to add even more for loops, right?
Yeah.
So what's the solution then? I is already here. So what am I supposed to do?
J.
So how many times did I repeat this? I repeated it 5 times. Okay. How did you know that I repeated it 5 times? Because I look at the length of the array, or the length, sorry, of the list, and because of that, I repeated it 5 times. Right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you there. I'm going to repeat you 5 times. Okay, so I'm going to do this. For J in
Less than.
range 5. Okay, and then all of you guys, which I'm repeating 5 times, you're going to go inside the for loop. So there's inside, there's inside, there's inside, there's inside. And then I can get rid of all of you guys. I don't need you anymore. Okay, 5 times, right? Okay, why did we say 5? Because the length of 5. So, okay, let's run this. Okay, 2, 5, 7, nice, it did it.
Okay.
But if I added here more, is it gonna work?
No. No. It
I
has
need
to
to change
be
the 5.
Then
You cannot
my
use
list.
what we call
length of my list minus
length
1.
of my list. Yes, length of my list. Okay, where is the J
Minus
being
1.
used here? Who can tell me?
J++ at the end.
No, I don't need J++. J++ automatically happens. Okay, due to the range. Okay,
Oh,
the range is a list. The range is a list of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Okay, so the J is always being taken from the list. Okay, it's not incrementing. It's just taking from the. So I can replace this one again. I can replace this one. Okay, and then I can do this. And then I can say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, but I don't like doing that. I prefer using the range. And then I put the length of my list. Okay.
okay.
But where's the J being used? I mean, in the code, do you see J being used anywhere? No, it's not being used anywhere. So you know what we can do in Python? We can do this. Just loop. Don't store anything. We don't care you storing anything. And you'll see here, there is nothing here being stored. Actually, let me clear this out. I can clear out everything from the memory. Okay, let's have a clean slate. Okay, and now I run it again. Look, there is no J. There's a my list. There's an I, but there is no other variable. So underscore is not a variable. It's just has it there. Okay. So we did it. Now we have a bubble sort. Thank you. I don't need J now. So I don't need J. So I just put it this way. All right. So is this one looping? How many times is this looping?
It will
Okay.
loop until the list, as long as the list has
Yeah,
any.
didn't we say that we wanted less by one? Same thing here, right? Less by one is enough. So if I run this and I print my list, here it is, it's sorted. Okay. No matter what I give it. Okay.
It will work.
It will work. Okay. Now question, how many steps happen here? No, I mean, how many, when I say how many steps, I mean, how many comparisons happen? How many times is this line of code running? Depending on the size of this one, right? So how many times is it running?
N squared.
Let's reduce the size, easier for calculation. Okay, how many times is this running? No.
25. It's
25, right? Because this is 6. We said 6 minus 1. So 25 times. It's going to be running 25 times. And then if we do it 6, it's going to be, or sorry, 7. How many times is it going to run? 36, right? And if I do it 100, the rest of the size is 100, how many times is it going to run? Huh? I hear murmurs. I don't hear answers. Give me an answer. How many times? No. 600? 100 times 100 or
10,000 times.
99 times 99 times. Okay. So it's a bad algorithm because you have to do it. Can we improve it? Huh? How can we improve it? So notice this. Let's go back to our whiteboard here. Last time we did the first round, we got 20 up here, right? Okay. So the second round, how many comparisons do I have to make?
5. Each round has 5 comparisons.
Is it though? Do I need 5 each round?
No, because
So-
we already have one which is sorted. So we have to make
We
it
already, exactly. Thank you, Marwa. We already have one that is already sorted. From the first round, we have 20. It's already sorted. So then, how many comparisons do I need in the second round?
4.
Huh? Minus 1.
4.
I need 4 comparisons. Okay.
Yes.
How many comparisons do I need in the third round?
It keeps
3.
minusing 1, yeah.
How many comparisons do I need in the last round?
No
Just 1.
comparison. Yeah.
Now, I'll give you 5 minutes to make that modification. I'll give you the code right now. Okay. I'll put it in the Discord channel. Okay. So you can copy this one and then modify it. Modify it so that it does less number of comparisons. كل لوب قلل عدد الكومبارسز على عدد المقارنات. كل مره يدش باللوب قلل عدد المقارنات. Okay. So you have to change the number of comparisons at each loop, each iteration of the bigger loop. Okay, so let's say it's going to take me, if the size is 6, it's going to take me 25 comparisons. I don't know. Right? Is it the bigger loop, the smaller loop? I don't know. Tell me the thing. طبعا المطلوب ان نبي نقلل عدد المقارنات شلون عفوا؟ نفسه هذا نفسه. We're using the same sort. We're just modifying it so that we have less comparisons instead of having the full number of comparisons. We said because the first round we're doing 5 comparisons, then the second round we should be doing 4 comparisons, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. So what do you have to change in this code? You have to only change something. Change a few things in this code so that it does that. Okay?
I'm sorry, but where is the Discord link so I can access through my laptop?
Okay, I'll give you the Discord now.
Yeah, please. Because I have it on my mobile, but I cannot access it through the laptop.
Yes. Let's be back in 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so we're back now. So anyone found the answer how to fix this so that it's more efficient?
We send it to the chat for the.
Send it to the chat, sure, why not? Send it to the chat. ما عندك chat, send it to the Discord. If you have the Discord, send it to the Discord.
I send mine to the chat.
All right, let's see here. So Ala said, let's see, okay, I have a few here. First one is this one. Okay, nope, this is not it. So here. No, this is not it. Okay. I mean, this one is another one I will talk about later. Okay. But this is not it. This is not what I'm looking for. Okay, let me do it for you then. Okay. So the number of loops stays the same. Okay. So it's all good. This is not. Here, on the other hand, we said the number of inner loops is going to change, right? So the first time, it's going to be this size, right? So it's going to be 5 times. The second iteration, so the second iteration, what's going to happen to J? It's going to be 1, right? So then the value here is going to be reduced by how much? By 1, okay? And then the second time is going to be reduced by 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to have a counter, okay, for the number of steps, okay? And I'm going to initialize it to 0. And then here I'm going to print, or here, sorry, I'm going to increment the steps, okay, by 1. So this means steps is equals to steps by plus 1, okay? It's just a shorthand for it, or what they call syntactic sugar, okay? And let me print the number of steps, okay? And also let's print my list. Okay. Now, I'm going to run this. Let me remove this also, because I want to do the original one. So the original one is going to have 25 steps, okay? If I do this improved one, I'm going to have only 15. But the end result is what? It's the same, okay? Okay. It still remains to be a complexity of O(n) squared. Okay, that did not change, but it improved it a little bit. Okay, it improved a little bit. Okay, another improvement we can do is let's look at this list at every loop. Okay. So I'm gonna print, and I'm gonna print the number of. I'm gonna print, sorry, my list. Okay. All right. Let's see now. Let's see what happens every. Here. Let's see every round what's going to happen. Not every step, but every round. Okay. By the way, do you guys understand why this is here and why this is here and why this is not here? I'll explain it. Yes. So imagine that there's a box. There's a bounding box here. Okay. So I'm going to have a box here. So everything here inside this box, okay, is considered inside this for loop. Okay. Is this statement inside the for loop? No, it's outside. What do I have to do for it to be inside the for loop?
Indentation.
I have to tap. I have to add spaces. Exactly. So let me close this. Okay. If I do this, it's going to be considered inside. Okay. Yeah. So Python is very indentation sensitive. Okay. Unlike, for example, C or C++ or Java. There you have to put curly braces, and then everything's inside the curly brace, and you don't care. Here they're forcing you to be organized. So everything here is going to be. So as long as this indentation happens, everything is, even if there is a space here. See, there's a space here. It's still considered it inside this. There's scope. What is called scope? Okay. So all of these are inside this for block, and then all of this is inside this for block. Okay. This print is inside this for block, but not inside this for block. Okay. And the same thing with the if statement. Only this is inside the if statement. Okay. All right, so let me clear out this.
Like the numbers that are here in the feed. The reset.
Which numbers you want to get rid of?
This is my. It's what is.
Because you're printing them. So remove the print statement. You have a print statement there that you need to remove. Okay. All right. So let's look at this again. I'm going to run it. Okay. Actually, let me put this back here. Okay. Run it again. Okay. So the first round, 45 rise up like a bubble, right? Second round, 20. Well, 20 rised up, but it was already there, so it's not a big deal. 18 is in the right place. 7 is in the right place. Then 5 is in the right place, and then finally 2 is in the right place. But look at this. Actually, in this case, sorting already happened by the second round. Okay? But it's repeating. Another waste of time. Why am I repeating all of this stuff, right? I mean, obviously, if I change my list, let me change my list again. My list. Okay. And I'm going to put this. I'm going to say 45, 20, 18, 7, right? And then what? 5, then 2. Okay. Start formatting. Let's do this. Okay. All right. So if I do this, so this gets overwritten, right? So this one is not there anymore. It's going to be overwritten by this one. And let me do this. I'll print out my list before anything happens. Okay. And I'll even say start. Okay. So we know that this is the start. Okay. And then this is the finish. Finish. Okay. So start and finish. And then we have all of this stuff happening. Okay. So let's run it. Okay. Here, it only gets sorted at the very end. Okay. So in this situation, I have to do the 5 loops, 5 iterations of the loop. Okay. Because it's descending order. Okay. On the other hand, here, it's not in descending order, some random order. But it turns out that it gets sorted by the second or third round. So I don't want to do the extra rounds. So what am I supposed to do then?
We have to check each round that it's sorted or not.
Sorry?
We have to check each round if all values are sorted or not. So we have to make sure that, yeah.
We can do that, but how do you check that everything is sorted? How do you know? How do you know that everything is sorted?
For me, I was just thinking to make the code store the biggest or the largest value, and it will insert it to the end of the list, so that each time I know that all the largest value. Sorry, at the end, I'm just sure that I'm holding the lowest values. So and my list has the largest values on it. I'm still working on the code.
You're working on this one, okay. Yeah. But for the bubble sort, it's much simpler. Yeah, we can make a simple modification for it so that we can check. So this if statement, what is this an indicator of? Who can tell me? Line 15, what does this if statement mean? If it's true, if this statement is true, what does that mean?
I'm holding
it will go here, right? But
value.
In terms of the list, what does this mean when I see this?
It checks the current value if it's less or higher than if it's more than the next one.
No, but if it's true, what does it mean?
It means that the first value is bigger than the second value.
Exactly. That means there is more sorting happening, right? So when am I done? When am I for sure done?
When there is nothing bigger in my hand, the first value mustn't be bigger than the second value.
Or how about this? If we go through a whole loop, a whole round, sorry, we call these rounds, right? So this is the first round of the result of the first round. This is the second round, the third round, fourth round, fifth round, okay? And if I go back to my original one, let's go back to the original one. So I put a hash is comment, you comment out something. So if I go here, we see this, and this, and this, and it's already sorted.
Mhm.
So what do we do then? What's the indicator that this is sorted?
That
No, not the
the
steps.
first element is less than all the elements.
No, not that. It's much simpler.
Okay.
Question. In this loop, has the if statement ever returned true?
No, false.
Never, right?
Mhm.
And that's it. That's all we need to do. We just need to check the loop and see, okay, in this loop, is there any more swaps happening? If no swaps are happening for the next loop, then we say, you know what? We're done. Okay, so let's do that then. So how do we do that? Else break where? Here we put an else break. Else, okay. Else break. Like this, right? Okay, let's run it. It's still doing all of them.
It's
It's
not
doing this,
sorted.
it's doing this, it's doing this, it's doing this.
So else continue.
It's sorted. Something wrong with it.
Else we can continue instead of break.
Else continue.
Yes,
Okay.
to skip around.
Still doing the same thing. So a question, let's understand the break, shall we? Let's understand the break. So let's say I have 4i in range, and then I have, let's say 10 here, okay? And then I print 10. I print I, okay? This code will print for me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? Okay. Let's do this. Then we say, okay, if I equals 3, okay, then break. So what's going to be printed out here? No, 1, 2. Okay, 0, 1, 2, and then this break will. Okay, now let's go back to another for loop. Let's do another for. Okay. Let's do this. Let's add range. I'm going to remove this break. And what I'm going to do is I want you to print out for I and J, both of them. Okay. So who can tell me what's going to be printed out? What's going to be printed out? You know, you're getting into the data time.
0, 0,
Oh.
1, 1. No, 1 minute.
0, 1, then what?
It will be
Yalla, help me.
pairs. It will print as a pair, not as single values, right?
Okay, I know, but what are the pair values that are going to be printed out?
0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 1,
Yes.
0,
Okay.
1, 1.
0, 1, 0, 2. Okay, so this is going to be the I, this is going to be the J. 1, 2, and then this gets incremented, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now question. If I say if I is equal to 1, then break. Okay, and let me swap these around. I'll put the J here since J is higher, and put I here. Okay, what's gonna be printed out?
It will exclude the
Does
2.
everybody have the anaconda, spider? Write the
It will
code. You
not
can write the code
print.
behind.
Zero,
Okay, I'll
0.
run it.
Starting from 0 until 1.
0, 0, then 1, 0, then 2, 0.
0.
Okay, I'll change this again. I'll put this 10 here. I'll put 5 here, so it's more apparent. How many big rounds am I gonna make? The bigger loop. How many loops am I gonna make?
3.
J is gonna have how many values total? 3, right? 0, 1, and 2. And I, how many values is it gonna have?
0 to 9.
5. Okay. So let's see now. Okay. So what does break do then?
When the condition is applied, it will stop. It will go out of this loop. It will not continue.
Which loop is it gonna go out of?
The nested loop, not
The
the
inner
beginning.
loop, exactly. So that's why here, when we put a break, here, it didn't work. It didn't work. It also didn't work for other reasons, but the break here doesn't work. So what am I supposed to do then?
We have to make sure of the.
What do I want to break out of?
If
I want to
it's
break out of this one, or do I want to break out of this one?
the if condition,
Outer loop.
The outer loop. Thank you. I want to break out of the outer loop. But if I put a break inside here, inside this for loop, it's going to break from this for loop. It's not going to break from the outside loop.
I think you're gonna you can try running the grid under statement and move it to the side.
So you're saying I put a break here? Break here?
You move it once backward. Backspace is once.
Backspace is where? Here? Here?
No, backspace is
Here?
outside.
Outside?
Yes.
There is no such thing as breaking outside. You have to break out of a loop. You're not breaking out of anything here.
in the indentation of the second for loop.
Range. 4J and range.
Yeah, so if you want to break out of this one, you have to do this. You have to break
Yeah.
here.
Exactly.
Oh,
But
This will
what
not
this,
work.
what this does is it's going to do just one round, and then it's going to end. Right? If I run this, okay, it didn't. The finish didn't work. So what am I supposed to do here?
you move it once.
We
Create
have
a
to check
statement
if
with
the
a
if
variable.
condition-
Should I make a variable statement variable? Okay.
Yeah.
What should I put in the variable?
False.
the test of the if condition, if it's true or false.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's add something called a flag. Okay. So this variable swapped is a flag. Okay. And then this swapped is going to first say if a swap happens. So I'm going to say false here. Okay. So no swap happened. So when does this change then?
If there's no more swaps, it will change it into a true. So,
So where should I change this?
after the if statement, you put an else statement and you put swapped equals to true.
So no swap. Sorry, I didn't get that. Could you speak louder?
After the if statement, you put the else and you put swapped equals to true.
Okay. Okay. So if it is swapped, see here, look. If it is swapped, then it's true. Okay.
After
Alright,
the
so-
other my list.
So if there is a swap happens, okay, this is why you have to name your variables properly. Okay, they have to have meaning. So this one has a meaning. It says if it's swapped, if it's not swapped, it's false. If it's swapped, it's true. Okay. Now
But sir, the swap
I
is
have to
after
do
the
this.
second my list,
I
right?
have to set it here to false. So every time I start a new round, I reset. Okay, false is swapped is false. All right, then what? I finished almost all of it. You guys have to tell me the rest.
If not swapped, that's when we put the break condition.
Okay, I'll give you another 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes. More 10 minutes. تاخذوا راحتكم. I'll give you 5 minutes. I'll give you this code. Update it for me.
It will give 5 rounds only. Sir, could you check my answer, please?
كاميرا ادري بعد صور ما عرفت احركها ما عرفت احركها يعني كذي المونيتور اوكي قاعد احركه من فوق يعني اوكي كذي احسن آه، شنو صار هنا؟ لا هذا يوتيوب يوتيوب اوكي لان الديلي صار اوكي شلون؟ اذا وركينج Okay. Let's solve it together. Okay. So we said what we want to do is we want to break out of the outer loop, not the inner loop, right? So when do we break out of the outer loop? When swapped is true or when swapped is false? When it's false, exactly. Okay, so what we could do is this. We could just check here. We say if swapped is false, okay? Okay, or we can also do another way of just saying not swapped. Okay, this is not in many languages, including Python. Okay, then we break. Let's try it out now. Now, hopefully, this prints only, I think, 3 times, right? Let's try it. Syntax. Oh, right. I can't do this. Not. It's not. This is a problem when you teach many languages. You forget which one you're supposed to be. Not. Okay, not. Okay. So, see now, we only did it 3 times rather than doing it. How many times do we do it? I mean, without this, without the break here. Okay, without the break, we did it 5 times. Imagine if the list was even bigger and bigger, right? It's always good to have an early exit. قول لي شنو الطريقة؟ هذه؟ greater than? Where هني يعني حط greater than? Which line? Which line number?
19.
Line 19. Okay. So what do I do here?
Minus I plus the minus I plus 1 R and for this one so greater than or equal. Does it have
Greater than or equal this?
yes. We have to get the swap equal to sorry. Okay. We have to break this. وبس نرجع البريك برا.
وتحط هني بريك.
رجعنا برا.
والبريك هذا وين يطلع؟ يصير بريك from the for loop.
ارجع once. One step back.
Here.
No, one more step.
Here.
Yeah. Run.
Okay. شلته. Okay. This one is supposed to work. Okay. البريك تكون تحت الاف. If what? If my list is greater than قصدك ها ايه اشيل الاف هذا واحط هالبريك هذا تحت اي اف احطه هني هذا هني that's it but that's gonna break regardless يعني every time you run the for loop once it's gonna break صح؟
I think
No.
can we move the break before the loop?
Why would you want to move it before the loop?
Because no, we can do it if not swap. If swap is false.
That's what I did. صح? If swapped is equal to false, then you break. Right? That's what I did. That's what makes sense, right? Okay. Everyone clear on what I did here?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
This is before the for loop. The break for the third line with the iteration.
So where do you want this break to happen then?
Before the swap equals false with the 4J.
We can do that too. That's true. You can do that too. That's right. We can do that. So if swapped equals false, but it's doesn't it do the same thing though?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but like so if we don't iterate.
Well, you see, there's an issue here because you started off swapped equals to false.
Not
So
sorted.
you didn't sort anything, right? Okay. Anybody has any other solutions? No?
No.
Huh. Yeah?
Look at the break.
If swapped equals false,
But if I just in the same place, it's gonna remove all the movement speed of the swing. I mean,
okay. So if swapped equals false, it should break from this for loop, right?
yes, but it didn't get.
It didn't break. This one didn't break because I said equals to false. I said swapped equals to not here. Not swapped. Let's try this again. I don't know what I just. You guys made me move a lot of things around. Let me see what I did.
Move the greater than in line
No,
20.
the if statement should be part of this for loop because this is where it's going to break. It's going to break from this for loop. Okay. لا ما يختلف. Let me see what happens. So swapped is equal to true. My list,
Remove the-
because of this. I don't know what you did there. I wanted what was the point of the greater than? What does this do? No. Here you're doing an assignment. صح? So you're assigning this from this, and then this from this. So here greater than doesn't make sense. Doesn't do anything. In any case, if you do a greater than sign, it's going to be a Boolean operator. And we're not doing a Boolean operation, right? We're doing an assignment. So from this one, here we go. Okay? Does this make sense? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. So let's move on. So we finished from the bubble sort. Okay. Now let's talk about some data science. Okay. This is what you are gonna be doing, right? So who's familiar with data science? Let me just put this in presentation mode. Okay. So there is a thing called the data science life cycle. Okay. So what does a life cycle mean? It's a loop, like the for loop. But actually, it's a while true loop. It's kind of never ends. You start off with doing the business understanding of the problem. Okay. This is what data scientists do. Okay? They have to ask the good questions. They have to ask the right questions. Okay. They have to interact with the domain experts, what the domain experts know, and they have to translate or have a mental model of what the problem can be in data science sense. Okay. Then we do the data mining. So we gather all the information we need. Okay. Sometimes data mining can be dirty. Okay. What do I mean by dirty? Usually in real life, when we're talking about industry or whatever, not Kaggle competition, or when you're doing something in class, data is unclean. It's unsorted. It doesn't have the right type, for example. So during the data mining, all you're doing is just gathering data. That's all you're doing. Okay. Gather as much data as possible. Then you do the data cleaning. And that part takes the longest, by the way. Data cleaning takes a long time. Okay. It's not the modeling. It's not the feature extraction. It's the cleaning. Okay. Trying to make sense out of this data. Okay. Then you do the data exploration. Sometimes we also call it like exploratory data analysis. Okay. We're exploring the data, trying to understand the data. What is relevant? What is not relevant? And then we do the feature engineering. So what is a feature? Who knows what is a feature? Who can tell me? Give me a good definition of a feature.
A feature is an attribute that describes the data.
A feature is, yes. Okay, let's go with that. So, So let's talk about, like, for example, housing. Okay, let's talk about housing. So you have a house. The house has 3 bedrooms. It's in Sabah al-Salim. Okay, it's 400 meters squared. Okay, and it costs, for example, I don't know, 1 million Kuwaiti dinar. Okay, and I have another house. Okay, and it's 500 meters squared. It has, I don't know, 5 bedrooms, for example, and it's in Jabriya. Okay, but I don't know the price. I want to figure out the price. Okay, question. What are the features of each
Area.
house? The area is one of the features, exactly. What else?
Location.
Number of rooms is another one, right? The space. And what else?
Price.
Well, I didn't. It's not in the data. When I did the data mining, they didn't tell me about the rent, so I don't have that as a feature. It's not there. What else?
But we can extract it.
Exactly. So the features we can say are the inputs, okay, to what I'm trying to solve. Okay. So feature engineering is selecting important features and constructing them. So for example, what I mentioned just now, these are all important features. Okay. The area of the house, okay, where it's located, location matters, right? Number of bedrooms also has an effect. Okay.
Mhm.
The color of the house. No, the color doesn't matter. For the most part. Okay. So then that's an unimportant feature. I can dump that feature. Okay. Now, for example, let's say they gave us the color of the house. Okay. And maybe the color of the house is irrelevant. It doesn't affect the price of the house for the most part. So then I can just paint it with another color. So then that's not an important feature. So now with the feature engineering, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to choose the right features and I'm trying to make up even new features. So for example, if they give me the width and the depth of a house, okay, what feature can I extract from that? The area, which I just mentioned. Okay, maybe the area is more important than the depth and the width of the house. Okay.
So are we talking? Is it similar to data warehousing?
No, this is not data warehousing. This is feature engineering. So we're trying to figure out what things are important for our model that we're going to try to construct. Okay. And then we have the predictive model. So this whole science life cycle is we're trying to build a model. Okay. And these models are very important. Many people use them. Businesses use them. Industry uses them. Government uses them. Healthcare. All of these people, they need some sort of model that can help them predict some trends, for example. Imagine if you have an amazing model that tells you the price of a stock. I wouldn't be here. I'll be a billionaire. Okay, so this is the whole task, and then we do some data visualization. Okay, and then we rinse and repeat. We do the same thing over and over again, So that's the data science life cycle. Okay, so going into depth with all this stuff, business understanding, how much or how many. Okay, so with the price of a house, that question is about how much, right? How much does it cost? So that problem is called a regression model, okay? Because we don't have specific values, okay? Now, which category? Now that's classification, right? So for example, if I have an email coming in and I don't know if I should send it to the junk mail or send it to my inbox, how many classes do I have? This is a good question. How many classes do I have? I have 2 classes, right? I have, it's either spam or it's, And then which group? So sometimes I want to do some demographic studies, right? I want to know where these certain type of, for example, consumers are belonging to. So, but then I don't have a name for these groups, and that is called clustering. It's also called unsupervised learning, right? So I don't have a cluster. I don't have a label for this group, but I can tell that because they have similar features, they are part of the same cluster. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing the graph, yeah. And then anomaly detection. What is anomaly? From the name, anomaly. Some things. Yeah, tell me.
It's something abnormal.
Anomaly is not a bad thing, no, but anomaly sometimes
it's an abnormal behavior.
Yes, it's highly unlikely. Okay. Sometimes if you look at a distribution and then we see it at the very end of the distribution, that's considered an anomaly. Okay. Someone is I don't know, 3 meters tall. Should I put him part of my data set? No, he's an anomaly, right? He's gonna ruin my readings. He's gonna offset my mean. He's gonna offset the. So these are so even anomaly detection has models for it. Okay.
Things that have nothing to do with what you're trying to get in.
Yeah, for example. I mean, it ruins the model itself, right? I mean, the prediction model, for example, in this case. Okay. And then there are things called recommender systems. Okay. So recommendations. Okay. That is also another type of problem. Sometimes that one is considered subjective. in a sense. Like for example, you're watching some streaming service, for example, Netflix, and then they give you recommendations, right? How do they know what they should give you?
Depending on
They
your
have these
business
features.
behavior.
Yeah. So there are these features of a movie, and they see what features are similar when you're watching, and then they check, then they give you a recommendation based on that. And it's a big market, right? Lots of e-commerce websites, they use them, streaming services, any business, they love recommender systems, okay? So you have to understand what you're tackling here. Is it a regression problem? Is it a classification problem, etc.? Okay. Data mining. So now the issue of gathering all this data, right? You can gather it from a database, then you use like a SQL or a comma separated file, for example, CSV file or Excel or whatever. You have to maybe scrap it. Okay, scrapping. You can sometimes use, Selenium, Beautiful Soap. These are all packages that are in Python that you could use to scrap the web, right? So you get a HTML file, a huge HTML file, and then you have to get the relevant information, okay? Or you can use, for example, Google Analytics, okay? Or any other tool, okay? Then there is data cleaning. So what do we do with data cleaning? If you have to scrap the data, okay, then you have to maybe remove a lot of the data that is irrelevant or unclean or has some missing information, okay? Then what do you do with this missing information? You have to probably add in some value, for example, the mean or the mode for that value, okay? There are sometimes inconsistent types, okay? So for example, let's say if we're talking about the gender of the person, okay? There is male, female, and then they put you 0 and 1, and then female with a capital F, male with a small m, male with a capital M. Okay, now I need some consistency. So now I have to do some data cleaning and unify the representation of the gender. So I put either 0 or 1, for example. Okay. So anyways, there are many ways of doing this. You can use pandas. You can use pandas is the package that we usually use. Okay. Then we talk about data exploration. So this is where the brainstorming happens. Okay. Figuring out if there are patterns, there are biases in the data. And then this part has no particular structure, okay? There is no 1, 2, 3 steps you have to follow, okay? But this is what we call the exploratory data analysis, or EDA, okay? And then we have the feature engineering, as I said. A feature is a measurable property or attribute of a phenomenon being observed, okay? So like we said, with the housing, we're observing these features, the area, the number of bedrooms, the location, okay? Now, Andrew Ng is one of the famous data scientists, machine learning engineer. He said coming up with features is difficult, time consuming, it requires expert knowledge. So you need domain experts to tell you whether a feature is important or not, okay? So as I said, applied machine learning is basically feature engineering, okay? Then we do feature selection. So feature selection, as I said, removing unnecessary ones. For example, if we go back to the housing example, if I have the area and I have the area in meters squared, and then I give you the area again, but I give you in yards squared. Okay. Is there something wrong with that?
Yeah,
Yards.
it must be unified.
No, it's okay. I mean, in the United States, they use yards, right? So they have yard squared and they have meter squared. So I added both. Is there a problem?
No, it's not true. We have to unify our units.
No, I mean, it's just a single feature. So we have two features. One of them is in yards and one of them is in meters. But the number of bedrooms, I cannot say I have 15 meters bedrooms. I have 15 bedrooms, right? It's a different unit, but we can have different units in our features, right?
Ah, right.
So it's so we don't have to unify the units in this case.
Sorry, I thought it was in the same column. That's why.
No, they're different columns. So we have the column for meter squared, and then we have a column for yard squared.
Okay.
What is the
sorry.
problem with that? It's this, thank you. It's the same information. So it's redundant information. This could cause an issue for me when I'm training my model, right? Because now I have two features that are highly correlated. They're not even highly correlated. They're absolutely correlated, right? They're correlated, full stop. So I don't need both of them, okay? I just need important information. And redundant information is not important information. It's information that I can dump. So we remove unnecessary features or features that have no effect whatsoever. Like I said, like for example, the color of the house. I mean, I assume it's not important. Okay, there are ways of figuring out if something is important or not. One of which is doing PCA, for example, or reducing dimensionality. Okay, another thing that's we can do. Okay, and then as I said, avoid the curse of dimensionality, and then feature construction, creating new features from existing one. Like I said, if we have the depth and the width of a house, we can create a new feature, which is the area, from these two features. Okay, all of this we can use scikit-learn. I wrote it here sklearn, it's scikit-learn now in Python. Okay, and then we do a predictive model, train your model according to the features that were selected and constructed, evaluate the model, split the data into test and training sets, and then use statistics or Python tools, for example, scikit-learn. Okay. Data visualization, then you display your findings. You have to display your findings. Why? Because sometimes a graph or a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's easier to interpret, right? You can see trends from graphs. Also, the stakeholders, right? The stakeholders, they want to see some sort of visualization. Okay, they don't want to just see numbers. Numbers not make sense to them. They want to see some sort of. So there are many tools to do that. There's matplotlib in Python, Plotly, Seaborn, Tableau, and the list goes on. Okay, I don't know all of them. There's many more. And as I said, it's a cycle. Okay, you evaluate the success of your model. If it's successful, you keep it, but then you also have to update it because you don't want something called the model drift. Data changes with time. Okay, the prices today are different from the prices 10 years ago, right? So then we have to update. Okay. And then we have to see, like, did it tackle the problem that we were supposed to tackle? Okay, or are we not tackling that problem? Then we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out things again. And then from this model, what can we do? Okay, can we get tangible actions from it? Okay. Now let's talk about some useful packages. Okay, I'll introduce to some useful packages here. The ones marked in red are things that I hope you will learn from now till the start of the datathon and use as well. Okay, I'll tell you from now. These are the tools that you need. Okay, so first one is NumPy. Okay, it's a fundamental package for scientific computing with Python. Okay, the other one is Pandas. Okay, and Pandas is very fast, it's powerful, flexible, easy to use, and it's open source. Even NumPy is open source. Okay, and it does analysis and manipulation of data. Okay, and then we have Matplotlib. That's for the visualization part. So it's a comprehensive library for creating static, animated, interactive visualization. The list goes on. You can do a lot of things. Okay, with Matplotlib. Okay, and then there is scikit-learn. Okay, it's simple, efficient tool for creating or training models and using them basically. Okay, so most likely in the datathon, you are going to be training models. Okay, and so you have to learn how to use scikit-learn, and it's not a hard package to use. Actually, I find it even easier than Pandas. Okay, scikit-learn is easier. All right, and then there are other ones. There is request. Request is an simple HTML library. Okay, URLB3, URLib3. Sorry, is another one. Tkinter. Okay, you might use Tkinter. I'm not saying much more, but you might be using Tkinter. Tkinter is for building applications. Sorry? Yeah, it's a graphical user interface. Exactly, it's a GUI toolkit. There's Tkinter. The good thing about Tkinter is it's part of the batteries. Okay, it's not batteries plus. It's part of that. You don't have to install anything. It comes with Python. Okay. Then you have Flask and Django. Both of them are for web application development. Okay, Flask is lighter. Django is more, yeah, and it's more, yeah, I guess more configurable.
Sir, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I didn't get this decanter, which is used for.
Decanter?
Yeah. Is it like
Yeah,
a Google Colab, or it's
a graphical user interface. So if you want to make, like, for example, you want to create a form for a user, then you can have some buttons, a text box, a scroll bar, a combo box. It's like and it's very easy to use. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, and then we have Flask and Django, as I said, and then now we go to Keras. So Keras is a wrapper that is built on top of, or not built on top of, but like an API for using with TensorFlow and Theano. I'm not sure if they use it for any other things, but it's an easy library to use to build deep neural networks, to train deep neural networks, to use them, etc. Keras is the one. Okay.
So for this data, what do you recommend?
The ones in red.
Ones in red.
The ones in red. NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Scikit-learn. Okay, those four. But these are also, if you have these in your toolkit, okay, with skill set, then they're also good. Okay. Scrappy is for scrapping again, and then you have SQAlchemy. It's a Python SQL toolkit, and ORM, object relational mapper, that gives application development the full power and flexibility of SQL. So if you don't like to deal with SQL direct, using the select from and all that stuff, SQAlchemy makes it easier for you. Okay. So
The alternative maybe packages can out.
packages Hagar, and I think there is ggplot2. That one use it for R. This I've used it a long time ago, maybe more than 10 years ago. I wouldn't know. But this is a Python workshop. But in the Datathon, if you are familiar with R or you're familiar with Julia, you're more than welcome to use them, obviously. Okay, so don't worry. You're not left out. You can still answer the questions or compete in the Datathon with those libraries. Okay.
For the ones who are participating for the first time and with little knowledge about these kind of things, what do you recommend them to look for when it comes to learning these kind of packages, or like?
So I'm gonna give some exercises, okay? And I know definitely we won't have time to solve them here, but I am gonna have them in the Discord channel. And from now till 4 p.m. tomorrow, okay, I will help you out in that Discord channel. Any questions you have, I'll try my best to answer. I'll give you some exercises. They're gonna be in the Google Colabs, and then you can just try them out, and that's good practice for you till the start of the Datathon. Okay. Sorry. The Datathon starts at 5 p.m. tomorrow. 4 p.m. there's an orientation, so you guys have to come to the orientation. Okay. Don't miss out the orientation. We'll give you all the information. Okay. All right. All right. So NumPy. Okay. So what is NumPy? NumPy is short for numerical Python. Okay. It's a fundamental library for scientific computing, providing support for large multi-dimensional arrays. So multi-dimensional, not a single dimensional array or a vector, but it works with many dimensional arrays. Used for matrices. So someone tell me, a matrix, how many dimensions is a matrix? How many dimensions is a matrix?
N multiplied by N.
Sorry?
N multiplied by N.
No. No, how many dimensions? 2D.
Okay.
2-dimensional,
2D, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2-dimensional. Matrices are 2-dimensional. Okay. So NumPy can do 2-dimensional, single-dimensional, or multi-dimensional, n-dimensional. Okay. All right. So now the good thing about Anaconda, if you guys installed it already, NumPy is not a package that comes already with Python. It doesn't. You have to install it. Okay. One of the ways of installing is you're doing something called a pip install. So you do a pip install numpy, the name of the package. Or you can, if you're using Anaconda, you can do something called the conda. So conda install numpy. But again, with Anaconda, it's already there, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So here's an example of a numpy array. So first thing in Python, what you have to do is you have to import the library, or you have to import the package, right? So this package is called what? What's it called? NumPy. Okay. This import says import NumPy as NP. What is NP?
An alias.
It's an alias. Thank you. So NP is an alias for NumPy. And this is a standard, by the way. I can say import NumPy as Ahmed and confuse you, right? I can do that, but that's not good. So the urf, I guess, the standard, what's known in industry, okay? What's known in our field is we always call it as NP, okay? So that's how we import NumPy. Now import NumPy as NP, okay? And then how do we create an array? We just call NP, okay? Dot array, and then you give it a list, okay? So we have a list of values, and what's this going to do? It's going to create for me an array that is single dimensional. So that's a vector basically, okay? And then we have two axes, or let's say one axis, sorry, it's going to be axis 0, axis 0. And then we can get attributes out of this array. So what's the name of the array? A, it's called A. So now I can use dot notation to get some information out of this. So if I say A.ndim, it gives me the dimensions. Usually we don't use that more than we use the n dot shape, because from the shape you can also get the number of dimensions, right? So A dot shape, it gives me the shape of the array, as the name suggests, and it gives me the values, like the let's say if we have an x and y, it gives me the x-axis and the y-axis. So for example, here the A shape is going to be 5 and nothing, because it's a vector, okay? So 5, that means it has 5 rows, and nothing means it's just a single column, one column, okay? And then A dot size is the size of the array. So in this case, it's going to be just 5, the number of elements, okay? All right. So who can tell me A dot shape? What's the type of A dot shape?
It's a tuple.
It's a tuple. That's why it's written that way. It's written as a parentheses, number, and then comma, and then nothing. If I just added a comma without the, if I just added the parentheses without the comma, then it fails to be a tuple anymore. It's just going to be a number, okay? So this is going to be our NumPy array, okay? Now, let's talk about different types of creation of the NumPy array, okay? So one of them is random. So if I put np.random.rand, what it does, it's going to be creating for me a 2-dimensional array with 5 rows and 4 columns, okay? With random values in them, okay?
5 and 4, or just either 5 or 4?
No, it's not going to be 5 or 4. It's going to be a float between 0 and 1, inclusive. Or sorry, exclusive for the 1, inclusive for the 1, for the 0. Okay, so it's going to create for me a random array. Another way of creating an array is by doing a multi-dimensional list, or let's say a list inside a list. If you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a single element within the bigger list. Okay, so here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Okay, and then each row has 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Okay, remember when I said lists can have any types and they can have a mix and match and stuff like that? Same thing here. That's all I'm doing. But of course, when you're constructing the array, if you even have a mismatch in the size of a single list, it's going to give you an error. Okay, and then np.random.randint. Okay, so there's rand and then there's randint. Randint, what it does, it gives you options. Okay, so you can pass it a value for the parameter low. You can pass the value for the parameter high, and then you can pass it the size. Okay, and in this case, we get a random array with from 1 to 10 random numbers. Okay, and then finally we have also a.reshape. Reshape just changes the shape of the array, but of course, you have to maintain the size. All right?
So what is the
Sorry? So you're using a random number, right? So the lowest of the range and the highest of the range. Okay. All right, and then I think this is copy pasted. Sorry. Okay. All right. So how about this? Let's do exercise here. Okay. I'm sharing this on the Discord channel. Okay. And what I want you guys to do is this. I want you to solve it. You have 10 minutes. Solve it. Okay. As many as you can. Use Google search. All right. Use the NumPy documentation. So let's go to see the NumPy documentation and figure out what the answers are. Let me open it up for you now. Okay. They can't. It's okay. It's okay. Let them use it. Okay. So here we have the Google. What I need you to do is this. Once you open up this page, what I need you to do is this. You're gonna go to File, and then you're gonna say Save a copy in Drive. Okay. So you're gonna have your own copy, so you don't mess around with this copy, and then you can do whatever you want. Okay. So I put the link in the Discord channel. And then the first thing you do before you do anything is File, Save a copy in Drive. All right, and then solve it. Now let's look at some things here about if you've never seen a Google Colabs or a Jupyter Notebook before. So there are two types of cells. You have a text cell, and then you have a code cell. With code cells, if you can see here, they have a play. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is if I click on play. Okay, it's very slow. But you have to run this one first, because first thing you have to do is you have to import the NumPy library, right? And then here, for example, exercise 1, array creation and basic. So answer these two questions on this cell. So I'm just going to do something here. I'm going to say like x is equal to np dot array. This is not the answer. I'm just doing some random stuff here. And then I say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can also print it if I want to see what the contents of X is. If I run it, okay, looks like a list, right? But if I check the type, here, check the type. Okay, it tells me that the type is a NumPy array. Okay. So do as many as you can. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Give you 10 minutes. So we'll be back in 8:05 or 8:06. Okay. Sorry? I didn't get your question, sorry. Could you come closer? Come closer. Okay, let's wrap up. Yeah, so we're running out of time. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so for the NumPy exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the solutions as well. I'll put it in the Discord channel. Okay, so please don't go to the solutions immediately. Okay, try them out first. Tackle the problems yourself, and then afterwards, you can look up the solutions. Okay. And what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to give the pandas. Okay, so we're going to have the pandas. Let's do this one. We'll do the exercise. Okay. And we're going to give you the solutions. Okay, so please practice before the competition. Any questions you have, you can always ping me. Okay, and I'll gladly help you up to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, then I'm not going to help anybody. Okay, and thank you, everyone.
They're done for the day.
Yes, we're done.
Ah, this is online.
Hey, خلاص.